In fact, I was going to have a chapter in the new mail, which I decided to take out, that would have been called, "Thank God for Impotence. It's the only thing he can't control." Because that's the one thing that could send him possibly into a high enough anxiety state that he might ask for some kind of help or might be forced to look at himself. But labels such as impotence, any kind of labels of sexual dysfunction, premature ejaculation, all of those things reinforce the notion that the male is a sexual machine. There is no way a man is supposed to perform sexually. In fact, if he's alive and fluid and human, his sexual response will always be changing, depending on what he's feeling, depending on the quality of the relationship, depending on how he feels about himself. Medical men have traditionally been the launderers of sexual symptoms. They give you nice labels for things so you can avoid the feelings behind them. They'll give you a nice medical disorder label so that you don't have to deal with you know, young, sweet kindergarten teacher marries surgeon. Two symbols marry each other. They go on their honeymoon. Everybody told her how wonderful. You married a doctor. Everybody said how wonderful to him. You married this educated, sweet, nurturing thing. They go get into bed. Nothing happens. Now they're in a bind. Everybody says they have a wonderful relationship. Their bodies are saying, "Get me the hell out of here." The physician said, "Don't worry, you can stay together. It has nothing to do with you. It's a disorder. It's a psychological problem, and we have cures for it today." So the language of sexual dysfunction bullies men. In fact, again, if I was going to be a sloganeer, one of my slogans would be, "Your penis is years ahead of your brain." I feel that had men not been conditioned like machines and respected their body messages, they could have learned tremendous things about themselves and about the relationship that could have saved them years of agony trying to overcome a deep response. Because indeed, the traditional classic romantic relationship is very toxic. For a man to have a woman fall in love with him because of what he does. You know, what do women always ask each other when they're dating a new guy? What does he do? For a man to be loved for his symbols is very toxic. It's very self-annihilating. On some level, he's going to hate the woman for that as much as she's going to hate him if he falls in love with her breasts. She may use her body to attract him, but then she will hate him because she says, "You're not talking to me." So I think that the body will register that discomfort. The body will register that resistance. The body will register that identity annihilation. And sexually you won't respond. But you got a good thing going. Society told you so. So you don't want to know what your body is saying. Masculinity still destroys men physically in the name of masculinity. What do we teach little boys about pain? What's the masculine approach to pain? The more pain you can take, the more masculine you are. Consequently, he learns to tune out pain signals. He learns to be ashamed of pain signals. The bizarre thing is that pain is nothing more than a body message. It's not a challenge. Secondly, he learns that asking for help is feminine. So when he is in trouble, he keeps it to himself. Thirdly, he learns that passivity is feminine. Sleeping is feminine. If you want to embarrass a macho, call him up at 3 in the afternoon. Say, "I hope I didn't wake you up from a nap." "I wasn't sleeping." Call him at 5 in the morning. "It's an emergency, Tony. I didn't." "Oh, no, it's cool. I've been up since 4. As far as I know in my own life, the only thing I can count on to ever make me really feel better when I'm feeling lousy is sleep. But when I was a kid, I also got the same message. Sleep is a waste of time. Sleep is unproductive. Sleeping too much is what women do. It's beauty sleep. Likewise, he learns that there is male food and female food. What do guys eat? Steaks. And what do women eat? Salads. What do guys eat? Drink. Beer. What do women drink? Wine, tea. You give a guy a salad, he says to you, "You think I'm gay?" That may be a little far-fetched, but I go down, Betty's been there, I go down to this resort in Mexico, machos come down, there's a vegetarian diet, they freak out. Bunny food. Guys in Texas, not only do they just drink beer, but they won't even drink beer out of a glass. It's got to be out of a can. That's how hooked in they are to the symbols. And fortunately, we live in big cities, but if you live in the Midwest, you better drink. You better eat hamburgers. You better not order a carrot juice and an avocado sandwich, because you're going to be laughed right out of the community. And yet, we all know the information from the American Cancer Society, et cetera, that probably the steak and beer diet are the most toxic diet you can put on a steady basis into your body. It will burn you out. And not only that, but now we're finding out that both beer and steak are carcinogenic. True, true. Even touching is feminine. Most adult males, as I said before, never get touched. We hold, rock, kiss, stroke little girls. Little boy who wants to be touched is a sissy. Most adult males never get touched, except as a prelude to sex or as a handshake, which is ritual. They don't perceive that as touching. Try that sometime. If a guy shakes another guy's hand, the other guy says, "Hey, I really enjoyed the way you touched me." "I didn't touch you." "Well, I thought you just shook my hand." That's not touching. He is labeled sexually dysfunctional. Totally sexist. The language of sexual dysfunction is sexist language. If men were in touch with themselves, they'd be in a rage that labels such as impotence, premature ejaculation, etc. even existed. Those words do nothing but raise a man's level of anxiety so sky high that it makes it impossible for him to find out what he feels. At their best, they're destructive. Even Masters and Johnson, who say, "It's okay, we'll give you this label, but don't worry about it, you're not a bad guy for having it." That's not the point. That's not the point whether I'm a bad guy or not for having it. The point is the label is inappropriate. It's a sexist label. It implies that there is a way a man is supposed to function sexually. There ain't no way. The beautiful thing about living in 1979 is that we live in an age of sexual freedom. So most men have now had more than one partner. Most men have had many partners. And the beauty of that is that you know that your sexual response is always different. With one woman, you're premature. With another woman, you can't come at all. With a third woman, you're right on. Your body is singing away. Now, if there was such a thing as premature ejaculation, like the old time, the guys used to get married for sex. If they cheated, their wives would leave them, they'd lose everything. So either they had little things with hookers maybe once in a while, or else they stayed faithful. They labeled themselves according to how they performed with their wife. So everybody would whisper, you know, he's got a problem. Hearing Betty's description of the traditional earth mother at home building up rage, how could impotence and frigidity be anything but the result of that kind of a relationship? Only if you treat sex mechanically could you ever assume that sex would be good in that kind of a situation, because the feelings are all toxic. In fact, it's the paradox of masculinity that the guy thinks he should perform regardless of how he feels about the woman. What's the difference whether I can't stand the way she looks, talks, walks, smells, moves? That has nothing to do with it. Furthermore, it's sexist that he still values himself for doing, not for being, for achieving and for little else. Intimacy, warmth, expressiveness, creativity are not sexy if they're not linked with achievement. Money and power are sexy. And his isolation and deep dependency on the validation by women, plus his need to see her as a special Madonna, makes it difficult for him to reject his role. Furthermore, he says, as I said before, if I let down my guard, I'll be stomped to death.